Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 6-day Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025, unveils rural India vision. Judge presiding over hush money case to sentence Donald Trump 10 days before January 20th inauguration signals no prison time. Mike Johnson re-elected as US House Speaker with crucial backing of Donald Trump. Rishabh Pant hit second fastest Indian Test half-century to give India a 145-run lead on day 2 of 5th Test against Australia. The spirit of rural India has always been a backbone of the nation. Today, it took centre stage as Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025 at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. The Mahotsav, which celebrates rural entrepreneurship and cultural heritage, will run until 9th of January and promises to pave the way for self-reliant and resilient rural economy. Our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal brings us the key highlights of the event.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025 with great fervour at the Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi. The 6-day event, running from 4th to 9th January, aims to build a self-reliant rural India under the theme Building a Resilient Rural India for a Viksit Bharat 2047. In his address, Prime Minister Modi emphasised the importance of fostering innovation and entrepreneurship in rural areas.
पिछले 10 वर्षों में एमएसएमई को भी बढ़ावा देने वाली कई नीतियां लागू की गई हैं। उन्हें क्रेडिट लिंक गारंटी स्कीम का लाभ दिया गया है। इसका फायदा 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा ग्रामीण एमएसएमईज को भी मिला है। आज गांव के युवाओं को मुद्रा योजना, स्टार्टअप इंडिया, स्टैंड अप इंडिया जैसी योजनाओं से ज्यादा मदद मिल रही है।
The Mahotsav will facilitate a platform for discussions, workshops and masterclasses aimed at strengthening rural infrastructure and encouraging innovation. It aims to bring together government officials, rural entrepreneurs, artisans and thought leaders to create a roadmap for rural transformation. A significant focus is also on financial inclusion and empowering rural women through entrepreneurship.
ग्रामीण अर्थव्यवस्था की मजबूती के लिए बहुत आवश्यक है कि गांव में हर वर्ग को ध्यान में रखते हुए आर्थिक नीतियां बने। मुझे खुशी है कि पिछले 10 साल में हमारी सरकार ने गांव के हर वर्ग के लिए विशेष नीतियां बनाई हैं, निर्णय लिए हैं। 2-3 दिन पहले ही कैबिनेट ने पीएम फसल बीमा योजना को 1 वर्ष अधिक तक जारी रखने की मंजूरी दे दी।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also interacted with the artisans and craftsmen from rural India at the event, where each of them showcased their art with much enthusiasm to the PM. There are over 50 GI tag products being showcased at the event, promoting India's rich cultural heritage. With the motto "Gaon Badhe to Desh Badhe," meaning when the village prospers, the nation prospers, the Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025 is a celebration of rural India's contribution to the nation's progress, aiming to empower millions across its villages. Dibyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who was also present at the event, visited the stalls and interacted with artisans at Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025 that celebrates rural India's transformation. Taking to social media site X, she shared some glimpses of her interaction and called the festival a celebration of rural India's entrepreneurial spirit and cultural heritage. Minister of State for Finance M. Nagaraju accompanied the Finance Minister. Moving on, US President-elect Donald Trump dismissed the hush money case as a rigged charade as the judge ruled on his sentencing in the hush money case. The decision adds another chapter to the ongoing legal battles before he assumes the White House. Details in our next report.
A U.S. judge has ruled that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump will be sentenced on January 10th in the criminal case involving hush money paid to adult actress Stormy Daniels. Acting Justice Juan Merchan of the New York State Supreme Court noted that he is not inclined to impose a jail sentence, instead suggesting unconditional discharge, meaning no custody, monetary fine, or probation as the most viable solution. The ruling means Trump will be required to appear at a court hearing just 10 days before his January 20th inauguration, an unprecedented scenario in U.S. history. Before Trump, no U.S. president, former or sitting, had been charged with or convicted of a crime. Trump may appear at his sentencing either in person or virtually. In a statement, Trump spokesperson Stephen Cheong said there should be no sentencing in the case. Justice Merchan denied Trump's motion to dismiss the case, stating that the charges of falsifying business records do not threaten presidential authority. Prosecutors suggested alternatives such as delaying the sentencing until after Trump's presidency or ensuring a non-custodial sentence. The charges stem from a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, allegedly to silence her before the 2016 election. Trump has pleaded not guilty, calling the case a political attack. Meanwhile, his other legal battles, including a Georgia election case, remain ongoing. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
And staying with the updates from the US Republican side, Mike Johnson was returned as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, marking the start of complete Republican control in Washington, D.C. President-elect Donald Trump previously endorsed Johnson for the role of House Speaker, saying, and I quote, "A win for Mike today will be a big win for the Republican Party," unquote. The Speaker wields key influence in Washington by presiding over House business and is second in line to the presidency after the Vice President. Voting in a new Speaker is the first requirement of the new session of Congress, and without that leader in place, the chamber cannot move on to any other function. Moldova faces energy security crisis, Prime Minister Doordarshan said on Friday after its separatist Transnistria region cut off from Russian gas, descents to factory closures, restricted heating and rolling blackouts. The crisis peaked after Russian gas flows via Ukraine were halted on New Year's Day, following Kiev's refusal to extend a transit deal with Moscow amid their ongoing conflict. Russia blames Kiev for refusing to renew the gas transit deal. Prime Minister Doordarshan assured Moldova's energy security and imports from Romania, but lamented the enclave's refusal of aid, including generators and biomass systems. He said Moldovan government remained committed to helping the enclave. Transnistrian leaders, hopeful for Russian gas, declined offers to buy from Europe, citing higher costs. Israel has defended its raid on Kamal Adwan Hospital in North Gaza, claiming it had irrefutable evidence that Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad militants were using this hospital. However, the United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk disputed this justification, stating that Israel's claims were unsubstantiated and often vague and broad. The World Health Organization has also urged Israel to release the hospital's director, Hussam Abu Safia, who was detained during the raid. Israel's Deputy UN Ambassador Jonathan Miller claimed that over 240 terrorists were apprehended during the raid, including 15 who participated in the October 7th massacre in southern Israel. Kamal Adwan Hospital has been at the center of controversy, with Israel accusing Hamas of using the hospital for military purposes. However, hospital staff and WHO have denied this, stating that the hospital was providing critical medical care to civilians. Syria's new Foreign Minister Asad al-Shabani announced official visits to Qatar and United Arab Emirates UAE and Jordan this week, following his first trip to Saudi Arabia. The government, eager to attract Gulf investments to rebuild the war-torn economy, hopes these visits will foster economic recovery and strengthen regional partnerships. Earlier, a high-ranking Syrian delegation, including defense and intelligence officials, travelled to Riyadh for talks. Saudi Arabia had previously engaged with Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Shara, who emphasized the potential for significant investment in Syria's future. Germany has called for an inclusive transition in Syria, urging Damascus to involve all groups, including women and Kurds, if it hopes to secure European support. Following a landmark meeting with Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Shara, on Friday, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock emphasized the importance of democratic reforms and ethnic inclusion. Joined by her French counterpart Jean-Noël Barrot, Baerbock stressed that European funds must not bolster new Islamist structures. When asked about lifting EU sanctions, she said progress depended on political reforms, noting some positive signs, but cautioning it was too soon to act. Baerbock urged Syria to focus on peaceful power transfer, reconciliation and reconstruction as key steps towards rebuilding trust and securing international aid.
Better future for Syria means an inclusive, peaceful transfer of power, reconciliation and reconstruction. This requires a political dialogue involving all ethnic and religious groups, involving men and equally women. They all must be involved in the constitutional process and in a future Syrian government.
In the days since U.S. Army veteran drove truck into dozens of New Year Day revelers, normalcy has begun to return in New Orleans. U.S. President Joe Biden also plans to visit on Monday to meet the officials and victims' families. Next month, the city will host the National Football League Super Bowl. President of the New Orleans Tourism Board, Walter Ledger, said the locals across the town are excited for the Super Bowl as the city returns to normalcy.
I think asserting their defiance and saying that nothing is going to disrupt this special place, nothing's going to prevent us from gathering in a unique and remarkable way in a unique and remarkable city.
Meanwhile, new details have emerged about the Tesla Cybertruck explosion outside Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. Authorities ruled out any animosity towards President-elect Donald Trump and revealed insights into the suspect's mental state. Yash Chaturvedi brings us more.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation confirmed that Matthew Livelsberger, the 37-year-old suspect behind the New Year's Day Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas, likely suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder.
He does offer additional information that is varying on the spectrum in terms of political grievances, issues about the conflicts elsewhere, not here, domestic issues, societal issues, a variety of other things, including personal challenges as well.
The FBI also said that the suspect had no animosity towards President-elect Donald Trump.
We have interviewed family members, friends, the subject's associates, and military members that he served with around the globe. Through these interviews, we've found that the subject held no animosity towards the president-elect.
The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department shared findings from Livelsberger's Notes app, where he documented his activities leading up to the incident. A highly decorated army soldier, Matthew Livelsberger, has left many letter notes saying it was a stunt to serve as a wake-up call for the country's ills. He also wrote that he needed to cleanse his mind of the lives lost of the people he knew and the burden of the lives he took.
But we're able to take this phone and be able to extract the data using a variety of different tools. And in that, we've identified a whole variety of information, but one thing in particular is there was an application in there that the suspect used to take notes. In that application, one of the notes is titled Surveillance Log by the Suspect. It appears to be more of a journal of activity. It dates for about 10 days leading up to the incident, from December 21st to December 31st of this past year.
Authorities also emphasized that the Cybertruck explosion appeared unrelated to the deadly truck attack in New Orleans. FBI officials reiterated there was no definitive link between the two events. Investigators are continuing to piece together the timeline and motive behind the Cybertruck explosion, as questions remain about Levelsberger's mental health and state of mind. Bureau Report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India NewsHour. South Koreans for and against President Yoon hold protests in adjacent streets in Seoul. South Korea Jeju air crash investigation continues. And more on outbreak of HMP virus in China.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Let's look at news from South Korea. Investigators on Saturday expect to compile the complete transcript from cockpit voice recorder recovered from the wreckage of the Jeju Air Boeing 737-800 that crashed on Sunday. The ministry says investigators have recovered one of the plane's two engines and plan to retrieve the other on Saturday. They also aim to study the plane's tail and landing gear at the crash scene. The ministry, which is conducting checks on all Boeing 737 planes operated by Korean Airlines, plans to require immediate corrective measures if problems are found. And police in Seoul blocked a march by anti-Yoon protesters on Saturday who were heading towards the official presidential residence. This comes after President Yoon Suk-yeol briefly imposed martial law, sparking widespread protest and condemnation from opposition parties. The martial law declaration, which was later reversed, had outlawed all forms of political activity, including protest and demonstrations. The move was widely seen as an attempt to suppress opposition and consolidate power. The international community is also keeping a close eye on developments, with the US State Department issuing a security alert advising Americans in South Korea to exercise caution. And DD India correspondent Jessica Taneja joins us live with more updates on the story. Jessica, after the dramatic standoff in Seoul, what happens to Yoon Suk-yeol now?
Well, his refusal and his, refusal to step down and, of course, imposing martial law did not go down well, neither with the opposition nor with the country. So majority of the South Koreans do agree on the fact that he should not be in office. And now, given that sentiment at this point, it all rests now on the Constitutional Court of South Korea, where 8 judges held their second hearing just on Friday last week, and will reach a verdict not sooner than June. And that deadline could also be extended given the kind of crisis that we're seeing right now. Because of the situation on ground, you saw those protesters out there in support for Yoon Suk-yeol. He has thousands of supporters gathered there, apart from the Presidential Security Service, which has been guarding not just his compound, but also armed heavily. And that is one of the reasons perhaps why we saw the Anti-Corruption Agency, which is the corruption investigation officials, go back and wait for another day to have more summons or perhaps arrest warrants, which could which could pave the way for him to be arrested for questioning, which is the initial demand. But again, as I said, it all rests on the Constitutional Court. If you look at the larger picture, because those 8 judges, out of which 6 need to give consent for his removal from office, and that is where he would have to step down and he would have no immunity, as he does right now at the moment.
Okay, and South Korea has had 3 presidents in as many weeks. What is the road ahead for the larger political crisis in the country?
Well, the political crisis continues to unfold at this point, where you see the lawmakers are divided on many issues. Earlier, it was the appointment of the Constitutional Court judges, which are very crucial to this entire turmoil and to sort of give an end to the political crisis that we're witnessing, because a sole court has already issued that order. Now, with the current chaos that we're witnessing, with also supporters from both sides, from the People's Party as well as the Democratic Party, hitting the streets, it's currently difficult to determine as to what the next course of action would be. But if that Constitutional Court order does agree to remove him from office, the presidential election will have to be held within 60 days. So, of course, there will be a change of guard, but it all depends on how the investigation officers, which are part of the Corruption of Investigation Office for high-ranking officials in South Korea, are able to execute their arrest warrant and put him on questioning for various other charges, apart from, of course, alleged treason, which in case is connected to the martial law that he tried to impose on December 3rd last year.
Jessica, thank you for those updates. And US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will begin his visit to South Korea, Japan and France from today amid a political crisis unfolding in Seoul, where Secretary Blinken will meet senior government officials to reaffirm the ironclad US-South Korea alliance and discuss ways the two nations can build on critical cooperation on challenges around the world based on their shared values. The Secretary will also discuss how both sides can strengthen key efforts to promote a free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific, as well as trilateral efforts with Japan. South Korea's presidential guards and military troops on Friday prevented authorities from arresting impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol under criminal investigation for insurrection over his December martial law bid. It was the first attempt by authorities to arrest him, during which they faced 6-hour standoff with the presidential guards. Yoon supporters who gathered near the residence vowed to block any attempt to arrest him. In Japan, Secretary Blinken will meet with senior Japanese government officials to review the tremendous progress the US-Japan alliance has made over the past few years. Secretary Blinken will reaffirm the importance of alliance in addressing a range of bilateral, regional and global issues and continue to build the momentum of US-Japan-South Korea trilateral cooperation. And in France, Secretary Blinken will meet with senior French officials as part of the vital partnership to address challenges in Europe, West Asia and beyond. Amid the rising concerns over an outbreak of human metapneumovirus or HMPV in China, India is monitoring the situation, is also in touch with international agencies. National Center for Disease Control is closely monitoring respiratory infections, seasonal influenza cases and other viral infections. No case of this virus has been reported yet in India. America's top doctor has called for risk warnings on alcoholic beverages similar to the labels on cigarettes, following new research that links drinks to 7 types of cancer. To see the light of the day, it would require an act of Congress to change the existing warning labels, which have not been updated since 1988. Details in our next report.
According to an advisory by the US Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, alcoholic drinks should carry a label warning consumers about their cancer risks, noting that alcohol consumption increases the risk of developing breast, colon, liver, and other cancers. Vivek Murthy also called for the guidelines on alcohol consumption limits to be reassessed so that people can weigh the cancer risk when deciding whether or how much to drink. Cancer epidemiologists have welcomed the advisory.
We have control over our choice to drink alcohol or not. And that if someone wants to have a little bit of alcohol because it's just part of their lifestyle, then they just need to do the calculations for themselves. But what they need to think about is sort of long-term daily consumption and how that may influence their risk of cancer and other chronic diseases.
Some have welcomed the move, while others are skeptical of any benefits it may bring.
It's good to tell the consumer of risks. Let them make the decision.
Well, I think even though it might not help, it might make people stop and, take a second thought about it. So in that respect, it may help a little bit.
I disagree with the extra input and the expense of trying to label things like that. We're adults. You have to be 21 to drink. You should be able to know.
I think a lot of things can cause cancer, and it doesn't stop people from partaking and enjoying these things. I think that alcohol can also lead to a lot of other things other than just cancer, probably. So putting a label on every alcoholic bottle seems a little far-fetched for me.
Alcohol consumption is the third leading preventable cause of cancer in the United States. Alcoholic beverages in the United States currently carry a health warning label unchanged since 1988, advising pregnant women against consumption, as well as warning those who may be driving or operating machinery. The decision to update labels will ultimately be made by Congress. Bureau Report, DD India.
In November 2018, the UN General Assembly decided to proclaim 4th January as World Braille Day, recognizing the full realization of human rights and fundamental freedoms relies on inclusive written promotion.
World Braille Day, observed on January 4th, commemorates the birth anniversary of Louis Braille, the visionary who developed a tactile script that revolutionized communication for blind and partially sighted individuals. World Braille Day, celebrated since 2019, is observed to raise awareness of the importance of Braille as a means of communication in the full realization of the human rights for blind and partially sighted people. This day also highlights the significance of Braille in empowering visually impaired individuals to access education, information, and opportunities, fostering their full participation in society.
बचपन से ही जब मैंने स्कूलिंग मेरी स्टार्ट हुई तभी से ही मैंने ब्रेल से ही पढ़ाई की है। मैं बाय बर्थ ब्लाइंड हूँ। कॉलेज टाइम में तो मैंने बहुत टाइम 2 साल तक तो मैंने बिल्कुल ब्रेल से ही नोट्स वगैरह भी बनाए।
Government of India has undertaken a comprehensive array of initiatives to empower visually impaired individuals, emphasizing their rights, education, employment, and overall well-being. The National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Visual Impairment is working in the field of visual disability for the education, training, rehabilitation, and empowerment of persons with visual impairment since 1943. The Model School for the Visually Handicapped is imparting education to children with visual impairment from the Bal Vatika to senior secondary level, representing a broad spectrum of society. National Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Visual Impairment has put in place an impressive infrastructure for printing Braille textbooks and magazines. With the combined efforts of various Braille presses, the Braille literature is being published in 14 languages. These initiatives reflect that India is making strides towards ensuring that visually impaired individuals can live with dignity, independence, and equality. World Braille Day is a reminder of the collective responsibility to create an inclusive society where visually impaired individuals can thrive. Bureau Report, DD India.
On the occasion of International World Braille Day, a program was organized by National Federation of the Blind at Brijmohan Munjal Vedic Center Auditorium in India's capital, Delhi. Visually impaired people from different states of the country participated in this program. The use of Braille script and technology was discussed, and visually impaired winners of various competitions from across the country were honored. In the Chitrakoot district of India's Uttar Pradesh state, a blind institution, Drishti, honored the visually impaired role models with cultural program to mark the occasion of 216th birthday of Louis Braille, the inventor of Braille script. The celebration was a way to make the society aware of the blind and to be educated and lead a respectable life, and also make them realize today that the blind are contributing in various fields of society. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Heavy flooding hits Malé as northeast monsoon sweeps into Maldives. Kashmir Valley is presently in the grip of the 40-day-long period of acute cold called Chilai Kalan. And SpaceX chaser captures an in-orbit space selfie video.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 6-day Grameen Bharat Mahotsav 2025, unveils rural India vision. Mike Johnson re-elected as US House Speaker with crucial backing of Donald Trump. Rishabh Pant hits second fastest Indian Test half-century to give India a 145-run lead on day 2 of the 5th Test against Australia. Let's now take a look at the weather updates from around the globe. Winter storm was seen across parts of United States and Canada on Friday. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration issued an alert on Friday, warning a major winter storm that will bring snow and ice from the Central Plains to the mid-Atlantic until Monday. The US weather company AccuWeather has predicted some 250 million people will feel frigid air across 40 states in the next week. There are possibilities of massive power outages over the next week, highest demand growth of natural gas amid the freezing weather. In Maldives, flooding caused by heavy rainfall was seen in capital Malé on Friday. As the northeast monsoon swept into the island nation in the Indian Ocean, people were seen walking in knee-deep water and motorcycles partially submerged in floodwaters along the side of the road. Vehicles also travelled on a flooded road along the coast. The Maldives Met Service Office officially announced the onset of northeast monsoon, marking a seasonal shift in weather patterns across the country. Now moving to India, the Kashmir Valley is presently in the grips of 40-day-long period of acute cold called Chilai Kalan. Kashmir is reeling under intense cold wave conditions with night temperatures continuously going to sub-zero level. The Met Department has predicted a spell of snowfall from Saturday afternoon. It said that moderate to strong western disturbance is expected to impact J&K starting Saturday, bringing light to moderate snowfall across most areas. Given these projections, a yellow alert has been issued over the region that today urge people to be updated about the inclement weather. For the higher reaches of Kashmir, a red alert has been issued as heavy to very heavy snowfall is expected over most places of higher reaches from Saturday evening to January 6th. Let's get the latest on this weather update. Shabir Dar, my colleague, joins us from Srinagar. Shabir, what is the climate like at the moment? And give us a sense of how normal life is affected in the coldest period in Kashmir.
Yeah, as you rightly said, Shabandhu, that this is the 40th day period of Chalai Kalan, which is characterized by the intense chill and extreme weather conditions. And from past few days, we're seeing the fog in the morning and evening, which has disrupted the normal life, owing to the fact that both the air transport and the surface transport is disrupted in many places. The air travel from Friday and Saturday, the flights were delayed, which put travelers to a lot of trouble. So in place like the South Kashmir, where we received heavy snowfall on December 27th, the all 4 districts in these areas are still having about 1 feet accumulated snow. So the normal life there is definitely affected. People are having tough time given the fact that the water supply lines are freezed and the electricity supply too is not at its normal. So transport to the hilly areas, to hilly villages in South Kashmir and in North Kashmir, where still the roads are yet to be cleared and the transport is not playing on these roads, which puts people definitely in a difficult situation. But amid all these difficult conditions, we saw this Chalai Kalan is also bringing warmth of brothers and Kashmir in Kashmir, because in December 27th, when it snowed heavily in South Kashmir, in parts of Central and North Kashmir, when tourists and travelers were stuck, it were the local people who come out and helped these people to who got stuck. They opened their doors, their houses and mosques for them who stayed there overnight and arranged food and clothing for them. So
best of humanity in the worst of weather, Shabir.
Yes.
Also, given the red alert in some parts, what is the preparedness and advisory by the local administration?
Yeah, the administration, the government of Jammu and Kashmir is fully alert this time, because they have put in place some contingency plans, and all the departments, including the civil workers department, which maintains the roads, and the municipalities and electricity department have put on high alert. The machinery, snow cutting machinery, has been put in key positions along the important highways and roads to ensure that roads are cleared immediately after the snowfall. Remember, there is a prediction of a moderate to heavy snowfall from this night to January 6th. So authorities are fully prepared. The men and machinery has put in high alert. The hospital administration has been asked to keep their generators and heating arrangements in place, so that if there is outages and the hospital administration should not suffer, the hospitals should not suffer. So essentially, this power development department has been asked to ensure that no outages happen if there is heavy snowfall. So we can say that the authorities are in the grip of the situation, and they are taking every precaution and every measure to ensure that as the predicted in view of the predicted heavy snowfall, people and tourists don't face any difficulties.
Okay, Shabir, stay warm and thank you for those updates. North Indian state of Himachal Pradesh is expected to witness a change in weather again. Light rain was reported in Lahore Spiti in the past few days, and western disturbance is also expected to affect the region. According to Kuldeep Srivastav, director of the Met Department, western disturbance will start affecting several parts of Himachal Pradesh from Saturday evening, leading to snowfall in higher reaches of the state by January 7th morning. Rain and light snowfall are expected in mid-hill areas, while plains may witness rain and cold wave. The impact of intense cold wave in Kashmir Valley can be seen all over North India as cold wave conditions continue. A thick blanket of fog enveloped India's national capital Delhi on Saturday, reducing visibility and affecting traffic. The city woke up to a chilly morning with the dense fog cover. The visibility was recorded 0 in several parts of North India, including Delhi's Hindon and Palam airports. Trains are also reported to be running late due to low visibility. As Delhi suffered a dip in its air quality on Friday, the Commission for Air Quality Management implemented Stage 3 of the Graded Response Action Plan, or GRAP, across the national capital region. As per the latest update by the India Met Department, released on Friday night, dense fog, cold day conditions are likely to prevail over parts of northwest and central India during next couple of days and improve thereafter.
The cold wave conditions have gripped the northern part of India, throwing normal life out of gear. This is the national capital of India, New Delhi. If you can see behind me, this part of India is covered under a thick blanket of fog, reducing visibility to almost zero. The zero visibility has caused delays in flight operations as well as train operations in northern part of India. Since last evening, the fog conditions prevailing over this part of India has also thrown out normal life out of gear. And the people in the morning hours, if you can see, are rushing to their workplace, vehicles crawling due to poor visibility conditions in the northern part of India. The IMD says that such conditions in the morning and in the evening hours in this part, which is the northern India, could prevail over the next couple of days. This is Dibyendu Mondal reporting from New Delhi with camera person Lalit for DD India.
Indian entrepreneur Vishal Sikka met Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday. PM Modi remarked this meeting as an insightful interaction and said India is committed to taking the lead in artificial intelligence with focus on innovation and creating opportunities for the youth. Both leaders had detailed, wide-ranging discussion on AI and its impact on India and several imperatives for the time ahead. Indian Space Research Organisation ISRO on Saturday on social media site X released video of SpaceX Chaser capturing an in-orbit space. SpaceX's Chaser satellite captured its first video of Earth from space. The video was captured on January 2nd by a video monitor camera on board SpaceX. It was launched by ISRO on December 30th, 2024, marking another milestone in India's space journey. The SpaceX mission consists of two small spacecraft, SDX-01, the Chaser, and SDX-02, the target. Prayagraj in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh is ready to welcome devotees and pilgrims to the Mahakumbh Mela from January 13th to February 26th. Mahakumbh is one of Hinduism's most significant and holy events held once every 12 years. It is the world's largest spiritual congregation, drawing millions of devotees from across the globe. The Mahakumbh is considered an auspicious period for spiritual cleansing and devotion. Pilgrims flock to the renowned Sangam, which is the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati rivers, to take the holy dip. All preparations are in place by the government to ensure a divine and secure experience at Mahakumbh 2025. India's Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated Shushma Bhavan, a newly constructed working women's hostel block in New Delhi on Saturday. The hostel block has been dedicated to former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. Addressing the gathering, Home Minister Shah said since 2014, Prime Minister Modi has laid the foundation for a policy-driven approach to the country's urban development.
2014 में प्रधानमंत्री जी का पद संभालने के बाद नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने इस देश के शहरी विकास को नीतिगत आधार देने का काम किया। ऐसा नहीं है कि मोदी जी के आने के पहले शहरी विकास पर कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया गया। सब सरकारों ने अपने अपनी समझ से अच्छा काम किया था, परंतु जरूरत थी अर्बन डेवलपमेंट को एक नीतिगत ढांचा देने की, नीतिगत आधार देने की। वो आधार देने का काम हमारे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने किया। उन्होंने ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड फैसिलिटीज पर आग्रह रखा और उसको अर्बन डेवलपमेंट नीति में एक प्रमुख उपकरण के रूप में इसका समावेश किया।
Former Atomic Energy Commission Chief and key architect of India's nuclear program, Dr. Rajgopala Chidambaram, passed away on Saturday morning at a Mumbai hospital. He was 88. Dr. Chidambaram was instrumental in India's nuclear tests of 1974 and 1998. He contributed significantly to finalizing the US-India Civil Nuclear Agreement, ending India's international nuclear isolation. Honored with Padma Shri in 1975, he played a pivotal role in designing and executing the 1974 tests. Let's now turn to other stories making news today. India's Minister of Minority Affairs, Kiran Rijiju, offered a chadar on behalf of Prime Minister Modi on Saturday at one of the most sacred shrines, Ajmer Sharif Dargah Shrine, located in northwestern state of Rajasthan, as a gesture of faith that unites millions and reflects the values of peace and brotherhood. The Indian naval sailing vessel Tarini left Lytton Port, New Zealand on Saturday for its onward passage to Canada's Port Stanley. This is the longest leg of the Indian Navy expedition, with a distance of approximately 10,400 kilometers, also the southernmost transit of Tarini. 3 soldiers lost their lives after an army vehicle skid off the road in Jammu and Kashmir's Bandipora district and fell into deep gorge near Vula viewpoint on Saturday due to poor visibility conditions. The injured soldiers have been rushed to a hospital for treatment. 6 people were killed in an explosion at Sainath Fireworks Factory in Virudhunagar district of South Indian state of Tamil Nadu on Saturday morning. Emergency services, including fire and rescue teams, rushed to the site. An investigation is underway to ascertain the cause of the explosion. Ahmedabad International Flower Show 2025 kicked off at the Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad, Gujarat on Saturday. India's Prime Minister shared glimpses from the Ahmedabad International Flower Show. On social media site X, he said he has a strong attachment with this flower show. He said such shows celebrate nature's beauty and inspire awareness about sustainability and give a platform for local farmers, gardeners and enthusiasts to showcase their creativity. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. In Hockey India League 2024-25, Tamil Dragons beat Kalinga Lancers. Djokovic suffers shock at Brisbane International defeat.
The delicate balance between human and animal coexistence has become a growing problem. Finding sustainable ways to coexisting together and thriving in a rapidly changing environment.
Tell them not to panic. Instead, they should just stand completely still and let the lions walk past peacefully. This is how we show respect to the animal and in turn gain its trust.
After the plantation of lemon trees, the elephants stopped entering the fields. They pass by the field boundaries without entering.
Poaching gangs and trafficking gangs that go after these elephants and capture them, things like that. And that's something that we are all up against.
We should try to modify the human behavior through education and awareness.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. And time now for all the action from the world of sports. Let's talk about cricket first. Rishabh Pant slammed the second fastest Indian Test half-century on Saturday to give India a 145-run lead on day 2 of the 5th Test against Australia. At stumps, India were 141 for 6 with Ravindra Jadeja and Washington Sundar on the field. Pant reached 50 after just 29 deliveries before being dismissed for 61 by Pat Cummins. Earlier, India bowled out Australia for 181 runs. In their first innings, skipper Bumrah's absence, Prasar Krishna and Mohammad Siraj picked 3 wickets each, while Nitish Kumar Reddy claimed 2. Australia lead the series 2-1. India needs to win in Sydney to retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Fast bowler Prasar Krishna has confirmed India's stand-in captain Jasprit Bumrah suffered a back spasm at the end of day 2. Speaking at a press conference, Prasad said more updates will follow once medical reports arrive from the hospital. Bumrah's injury scare adds an extra layer of challenge for the visitors who look to win the final test match of the series. Tamil Nadu Dragons clinched an important bonus point against Vedanta Kalinga Lancers after a 6-5 win in shootout in the ongoing Hockey India League at the Birsa Munda Hockey Stadium. It was Jip Janisson's 51st minute goal that hampered Lancers' plan to clinch winner after they were leading 2-1. Alexander Hendrickse double goal had put the Lancers ahead in regulation time, while Tom Craig also scored for the Dragons. Novak Djokovic's hunt for landmark 100th ATP title ended with a whimper following an unexpected defeat by big serving American Riley Opelka in the Brisbane International quarterfinals on Friday. Djokovic's Australian Open preparations encountered a setback on Friday after he was eliminated from Brisbane International by Opelka. Opelka delivered a commanding performance which resulted in a 7-6, 6-3 victory. Djokovic, 37 years old, had entered the tournament asserting his ability to challenge younger players. However, 27-year-old Opelka, who has been former world number 17, dominated the match. He secured a comfortable win in 1 hour and 40 minutes. Defending champion Grigor Dimitrov retired from the semi-finals of Brisbane International on Saturday with a groin injury. Unseeded Czech player Jiří Lečeka was leading 6-4, 4-4, while the Bulgarian left the court with the physiotherapist for a medical timeout. Dimitrov, ranked 10 in the world, returned but played 1 point before retiring. As a result, Lečeka has advanced to the final of the tournament. He will play either American Riley Opelka or Giovanni Pericard of France in the finals. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka will take on Mira Andreeva in Brisbane International semi-finals on Saturday after both players won their quarter-final matches in straight sets. Sabalenka defeated the unseeded Czech player Mary Buzukova 6-3, 6-4. Earlier, Andreeva had to save 2 set points in the second set before closing out a 6-4, 7-6 victory against Ons Jabeur. Sabalenka has eased into the 2025 season with a string of solid performances before her Australian Open title defence next week. She has now won 26 of her past 27 matches in Australia, a run that includes 2 consecutive Australian Open titles, a WTA 500 title in Adelaide and a final last year in Brisbane. We now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Chile's President Gabriel Boric has made a historic trip to South Pole to reaffirm his country's claim to sovereignty over its part of Antarctica. Boric is the first Latin American leader to reach the Earth's southernmost point. More than 80 soldiers from Guatemala and El Salvador reached Haiti on Friday as part of the Kenyan-led multinational mission to bolster the national police force in the face of spiraling gang violence. Attacks by armed groups have been escalating in multiple areas of Haiti for more than a month. A magnitude 5.5 earthquake struck northern Ethiopia on Friday, where a volcano erupted after months of increased seismic activity. The U.S. Geological Survey has recorded more than 67 earthquakes in the area in the last 4 months, particularly in the Fantal region, part of the Great Rift Valley. Colombia has just unveiled a massive Christ monument created using 3D printing technology, standing at an impressive 11 meters tall, inspired by Rio de Janeiro's famous Christ the Redeemer statue. This statue is not only a marvel of technology, also a celebration of Colombian identity. What's remarkable about this project is the innovative use of 3D printing technology and the statue's eco-friendly design, using biodegradable materials, making it a sustainable addition to the city's skyline. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India NewsHour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screens to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour. Namaskar.